To New Mexico, Arkansas to Oregon, Civic Network Television is lighting up America. CNT, linking America's communities to each other and the future. Live from Washington, D.C., Civic Network Television brings you Mobilizing Community Assets. And now, our moderator, Ramona Edelin.
Jody and John will now take us through Module 2, which you will find on page 16 in your course guide, Gifts of Individuals. Let's go back, I think, probably, John and Jody, to the assets map. At the center is the gifts of individuals. Help us think about that. What is it that you have discovered in your travels around the country?
Well, as you can see in the middle of the map, the gifts of individuals are central. And I think the best way for us to begin to work on this in our communities is to think about ourselves and our friends and our neighbors. And to think about the fact that everyone has a gift. Everyone. This has to be the central development principle. Everyone has a gift. Now, think about yourself. I know in my life, when I was a little kid, my Irish-American grandmother was making cherry pies one day, and I came in and I was standing there probably because I wanted to eat the dough, and I chattered away and chattered and chattered and chattered. And finally she stopped and she said, "John, you have a gift." And I said, "What is it?" Thinking she was going to give me something. She said, "No, you've got it already." She said, "You have the gift of blarney." Now, I don't know if you know what blarney means in the Irish, but it means, some people think, a golden tongue. Other people have other words that I don't want to repeat here for what that may also mean. But whether I had the gift or not, the fact that somebody thought I had the gift and nurtured it probably is the reason at 63 years of age I'm standing up here talking, right? So we all have a gift. Joe, you've got a gift, I know.
Well, my equivalent story as a youth, John, I think, was when I was caught in the bathroom with a whole pile of crayons drawing words on the wall of the bathroom, right? And my mother came in and caught me doing that, and she said, "You know, you really are a gifted writer, but you're doing it in the wrong place."
Yes.
But by telling me that I had a gift, she was able to sort of wean me from my habit of writing in the walls early. So I think that she too was sort of discovering, and I've been a writer ever since and have liked doing that, right? I also know about us though, John, because we work together all the time, that we are people with a lot of emptiness and a lot of problems.
Right. Problems and needs. When I think about myself, a couple years ago, I had a major heart surgery, a great big scar down the middle of my chest. The thing about my scar is that it's of no use to my community. Right? The thing that may be of some use is an ability to articulate something.
Yeah, right.
Joe, what about you?
Well, I've had 5 knee surgeries, right? So whatever usefulness I have to my community has nothing to do with my mobility.
Yeah.
It does have to do probably more with my capacity to write. I mean, so we are both, right? Just like everybody in this room, people that have a certain amount of fullness and a good amount of emptiness. Right. Everybody in this room.
And that, we think, is the way to really start rediscovering the community building powers of localities, is to focus on the gifts of individuals. Each of us have a gift, and I know that that's true of the people in this room,
Yes.
Joe.
Yeah, because we asked earlier, just to make sure that we weren't in an absolutely strange group of people with no gifts at all. Right? We were pretty clear that this was a gifted group, and we asked people to list. So let me just ask now, if you were to ask each other, right, let's introduce each other by, what is the major gift? Let's do a little quick collection, one by one. What's the gift that you would like to sort of lift up most about yourself?
The gift and the ability of working with youth.
Working with youth.
Yes, the gift and the ability to consult and to counsel.
And to counsel with folks.
Financial skills.
Yes, money skills. Great.
Well, most of my experience has been with the group, primarily teachers.
Working with teachers.
Right.
Working with teachers.
I share your gift, Jody, of writing.
Also a
Or
writer.
I like to write anyway.
Terrific. There's plenty of writing to be done. Sure.
Basketball abilities.
You shoot hoops. Terrific. Terrific. Great.
The gift of compassion.
Compassion. Yes.
And along the financial lines, fundraising.
Yes. Yes.
I have to say my organizational skills.
And an organizational wizard, right? Wonderful. Wonderful. We took the liberty of writing these up on the board earlier, at least a few of them. Right? Here they are. Here's a list of the gifts of the people just at these tables in our room together here. These are folks who bring different kinds of gifts to the table. And one of the things we might want to think about is, are there any of these gifts, writing and financial skills and working with teens, are there any of these gifts that wouldn't be useful in community building? Any that you'd like to throw out? I doubt it. No. Every one of these things we could be using. Every one of them would be useful in community building, right? I think that's the lesson. The lesson is that there is a huge abundance of giftedness. We, in fact, now seldom start a discussion, particularly with young people or others who sometimes felt like they're at the margins of community. We seldom start a discussion without asking folks to identify their gifts, introduce each other by what you bring to the table. And sometimes we say, just to sort of help people along in a simple way, tell us about gifts of the hand and gifts of the heart and gifts of the head, right? We all know things, gifts of the head. We all can do things, the skills we have with our hands. And there's something about the core of us, what we believe in, what we're passionate about, our hearts, that we bring